Today's gospel seems to be pretty straightforward, huh? Love God, love neighbor, and you're not far from the kingdom of God. But did you ever notice in the scriptures, there's times when Jesus says, oh, by the way, there's one more thing. Because we're called to live that commandment. And how we live it, I think, matures and grows for us as a person, but matures and grows and develops as the years go by. And as we know, the world of Jesus 2,000 years ago is much different than the world today. And in that vein, I think if Jesus was walking around today, and we'll talk about the guy who sort of represents him today, the vicar of Christ, called the Pope. But I think if Jesus was walking around today, he'd also say to us, yeah, love God, love neighbor, but respect and love the environment, planet Earth. And in all honesty, we've been taking planet Earth for granted for a long time. Said the Pope last April. He goes, we have sinned against the earth. And the Pope, in that little talk he gave almost a year ago, said, he quoted a Spanish saying that says, God always forgives. We humans sometimes forgive and sometimes not. The earth never forgives. The earth does not forgive. If we have devastated the earth, its response will be very ugly. And the Pope continued when he said, we cannot heal the planet unless we love and respect it. This weekend, the scriptures are asking us, reminding us, if you will, not just to know what the commandments are, but to grow in action, in living them for today and tomorrow. To live it in action when it comes to our relationship with God, when it comes to our relationship with other people, and also planet Earth. And I would guess, I think in fact we know, it's going to take some sacrifice. It's going to be some changing in our lives. We hear about this all the time on the news and wherever. We know there's a problem. What are we trying to do? What's the sacrifices that we're being called to make out of love and respect? Think of some of the things we've been asked to do. Little as it is. Maybe more is coming. I'll tell you about one in a second. That was a conversation after the 8 o'clock Mass. 20 months ago, we were being asked to bring our own reusable bag to the supermarkets. Remember that? Huh? Yeah? Yay? Nay? Ah? Yes? Ah? Yeah? And we even gave out these just before the pandemic hit. And then they said, well, pandemic, we'll still give you plastique. And they did for a while. But then they said, hey, we got to stop. If you forget, give me 5 cents and I'll give you a bag. I often wonder how many 5 cents Price Chopper and Hannaford Farms and whoever else are taking in every week. Because, excuse me if I offend anyone, because we're too lazy to go back to the car where we have 12 of these sitting. Topic of a conversation after Mass was, we're hearing that by a certain date, I don't know, electric cars will be more the norm than the gas cars we have now. What does that mean? I don't know. But I asked the question, if I'm going on a trip, let's say to Florida, and I only get 300 miles or so from a charge, I got to stop? And how long do I have to wait? I know there's hybrids, I know that. It begs questions. It's going to cause a change in our lives. But those are big changes down the road that we'll have to cope with. But what about the little ones now that we need to cope with? Huh? You know, an advocate for the environment has written this. He says, as the world warms, extreme events are becoming more frequent and intense. Sea levels are rising. Prolonged droughts are putting pressure on food crops. And many animals and plant species are being driven to extinction. It's hard to imagine what we as individuals can do to resolve a problem of this scale and severity. But he goes on to say, good news, we're not alone. People, communities, cities, businesses, schools, faith communities, other organizations are taking action. We are fighting like our lives depend on it, because they do. And so I guess it begs the question, what can we do? Well, the first thing I'm going to suggest, give you homework. Homework? God, I haven't had homework in 58 years. Well, you've been on that computer enough. Consider it non-homework then. Go to your computers later today. Not now, not during Mass. Put the phone away. Google something like easy things I can do to protect the environment. Something like that. You know, something will pop up. And some simple, and maybe more complex, but some simple ideas will pop up. As a person or a family, pick one or two and say, hey, we're going to give a focus here on this. We're going to give a focus on this. It ain't going to take that much effort out of us. And I'll talk about a few that are possible in a second. You know, some starter ideas, turn off the lights when you leave a room. Now, I know many parents have yelled at us for 1,000 years, turn off the lights. Well, there's some wisdom there. Father Butler, the pastor of St. Ed's, said to me one day, I go around the building turning off lights all the time. He says, I feel like I'm my father. I was in the office for an hour before the 8 o'clock Mass this morning, doing whatever I do, and I was leaving the office. I turned my lights off in my office, but there were some lights in the outer office. I went and turned them off. Little thing, but every little thing helps. As I said about the reusable bags, use them. They're reusable. Reusable. You know, we sort of are, in many ways, a throwaway society, and we're probably going to have to move away from that more and more. Why? It's just not for planet Earth. It's for the people on Earth, too. You know, it's about for you and me, but others to come after us. Reduce water consumption. You know, how? Well, check it out. You know, there's water-saving devices. There's all kinds of stuff. You know, I think many people have these in their houses. I know we have them here in the facilities and in the rectory. You know, programmable thermostats. Okay. But then they say, join the 2-degree club. Did you ever hear this one? Join the 2-degree club? It means that, let's say you keep your heat on at 80 degrees during the winter. Tell me who does that. No, but I'm being a little exaggerative here. They're saying, turn it down 2 degrees. Turn it down. Now, at my house, I keep it at 70 or so. Right now, I have my rectory at 58 degrees. What, are you out of your mind, Father? Yes, yes. Now, the reason is that I've had no heat for the last week. And every day I look at the thermostat, I say, well, how cold is it today? And so after 4 days of this, I said, there's something wrong here. Because I won't tell you the story trying to get somebody over here. They have the part, we just haven't put it in yet. Another story. So I'm sitting there, freezing. I'm saying, there's something wrong with this. So Thursday, being an adult, I went to the store. And I bought an electric heater. So that at least the room I'm in will be, somewhere higher than 58 degrees. Because I thought, and I could be wrong about this, that you'd probably like your pastor to be healthy and alive and not in the hospital with quadruple pneumonia or something, Consume less. We are a consumer society, Can we share things or make things or repurpose them? Can we? We have this consumer mentality. It's a throwaway society, as I said. We even have companies say, well, your TV breaks, okay? Well, it's cheaper to buy a new one than to fix the old one. I mean, it might be true, but I'm just saying that's the attitude we have. Recycle. I don't know the exact number, I forget, but I used it a couple years ago. There are millions upon millions of dollars in the coffers of the state of New York from unclaimed 5-cent deposits on bottles and cans that were never used. Never used. I see them on the roads. I see them in the garbage. 5 cents. And it's only 5 cents. Multiply it. And you see what the state of New York has. So, our respect and love for our environment. What can we do? What will we do? What will we do? What will you do? What will I do? And one of the final things is become more knowledgeable. Become more aware. Become more informed as to how you and I can respect and love God and others, but also our environment. Not just for today, not just for this week, but going into the future. And also how we will model being people who care about one another and the environment.